All right, good evening and welcome to the June. We changed it to Thursday, June 9th instead of Wednesday, June 8th, 2022 Selectmen meeting. For those of you in the audience, if in the case of an emergency, you would use the door to your left, my right, go up the stairway that would lead you to the parking lot. If that for some reason were impassable because Debbie was moving too slow, you could go down the back hallway and out that way to the firehouse. Thank you. With that said, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Let's see, put this on the table and shut it off in case somebody messages me that the sound is not working.
I'm staying on the table because my granddaughter is stuck in Dallas.
Oh, they're not here yet?
The plane just was canceled from Dallas to JFK. They made it from Sydney.
Well, they made it from Australia, so they can, and they're almost here.
They're almost, so I'm just seeing what's going on.
That's fine. Okay, it's a short crowd tonight. This is graduation and moving up season and all of those sort of things. Mr. Oakenquist is not able to be with us tonight. Congratulations to his granddaughter. And Mr. Shanley is not able to be with us. Congratulations to him also. So if I can start with Mitch, for those of us that are in attendance. Thank you.
Good evening, Mitch Goldblatt.
Yep. You-
Or do you want me to go? I'm sorry. Good evening, Judy Williams.
Good evening, John Carangelo.
Okay, perfect. Is, okay. Yeah, you can be in every direction over there. Okay, is there a motion to close the regular meeting and convene the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. This public hearing, our secretary is under the weather, so we're also short our secretary, so I'll read what is on the agendas, but I do not have the legal notices that are part of it. First public hearing, application for the Neighborhood Assistance Program from the State of Connecticut Department of Revenue Services for funding of $120,000 for the New Haven Hebrew Day School. Hershey Heck, Southern Connecticut Hebrew Academy is the requester on this. We have done theirs before, and I should have it right here. Yes. They're using this one for energy efficiency upgrades at their school on Route 34 over there, which has been there for now, I think, 3 generations or 3 generations anyhow, maybe 4. If there's any questions on that, if not, we've done this one before. Make a motion to approve.
Before we close, Jim, can you just explain to people who are watching that this is not funding of $120,000 from the town of Orange?
Oh, well, no, it comes from the State of Connecticut Department of Revenue Services. This is a program that many of these schools and private schools and other type of operations are able to apply for through the state of Connecticut. And it is not Town of Orange tax dollars. It is not Town of Orange grant funds. It is completely and wholly an agreement between the state of Connecticut and the recipient. In this case, it's New Haven Hebrew Day School. It's a great program, and it allows them, since they have much more limited funds than a public system, they're on a tuition base, and sometimes they have quite a few that aren't even able to keep up with that. And so it allows them to do repairs, maintenance, and upkeep that otherwise wouldn't be possible for a private school situation. So I hope that explains it. Is there a motion to be made on that?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Okay. Is there a second on that? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I better write down some instead of just in case. Okay. So there's a motion to reconvene the meeting, we did that. So now the vote is to approve on accepting Neighborhood Assistance Program application submitted by New Haven Hebrew Day School for funding of $120,000.
Second.
Okay, motion. MG. JW is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, okay.
Do you want me to write those down? I'll do that.
I can do it, I'm okay with it, you just have to, bear with me. Hey, I'm all right with it. Next public hearing is for the purpose, oh yeah, we have to make a motion to close the regular meeting. Thank you.
Second. Just fill in the blanks there.
Yeah. Unanimous, okay. All right, so this one, public hearing is on the purpose of establishing a new ordinance, 350-35, authorization to keep de minimis excess overpayments for property taxes. This one is presented by tax collector, I know it's Tom Hurley, I'm just reading here. On this, Mr. Hurley, would you like to come up and explain this a little bit, what you are looking to enact here?
Okay, could you distribute these to the
Yep.
selectmen, please? As part of our efforts to improve the operational efficiency of our department and the town overall, this came to my attention. We are paying de minimis amounts back that people overcharge for various tax reasons that are less than $5. And after talking it over with the finance director, these things are costing us about $20 to put out. So this just didn't make any sense to me to do this. And I went looking at the state regulations, and the state regulations do allow us to go up anything less than $5 and just keep it. This list is what's currently open. This is what we're going to have to pay out or continue to pay out if we don't have this ordinance. And you can see the total amount of this thing is about $203, $205 when I add the fees in. So it's not a lot of money, but it's a lot of money to process it.
So the total amount that you would collect if you did these 1, 2, 3,
No, that's only for this year.
Five.
Each year has its own
but
total
it's
on
six,
there.
but it's 6 pages
Yeah.
of small print. And
Yes.
the total that you would be leaving out here would be $203.51, according
Yes.
to your bottom line.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now, just so you know, this isn't everything, because we've already paid in the last year, just for the last year, 33 in that category.
Okay.
So, this does not make sense. The town's losing money on these things, and so I'm requesting relief.
Questions for Mr. Hurley on this? Mitchell?
Yeah, Tom, so you're saying that this is an entire year's worth is worth just $200?
It's a little higher than that, it's probably closer to 300, but not much more than that. Like I said, there's 33 that aren't
33 that
on
were-
here that were already
Oh, okay.
paid.
Okay.
But you've seen them. They were in those COCs when you've seen them, and everybody's saying, why am I paying $1.42 or $3.02 to somebody on a check that you're signing off on? That's, I'm trying to address that.
So, are you all set, Mitch?
Yeah, for now.
So you were saying something about it costs $20 for
I w-
each one to
I'm told by the finance director, he came up with a number, said it's around $20. For each one of
item.
these.
So then that's
But
a heck
even-
of a lot of money.
Yeah, it's several $1,000s a year.
Wow.
Okay, and even if you assume it's not 20 and you even assume 10, it's still thousands of dollars a year.
Because they have to track them and go into the
And,
system.
and then we
print
have
it.
to, and they clog up and slow down our systems, and they have extra things that, we could just clear them out. And it's, for efficiency purposes, I'm asking for this authority, because I can't just do it on my own.
So this would be your request then, is excess tax amounts of $5 or less.
Well, it's actually,
looking at.
by the ordinance, I think you have to say less than $5 when I reread it, so make that less than $5 if you
All right,
would.
so
I want to make sure I conform to the state rules, and
Okay.
they say less than 5.
Tom,
Yes.
Tom, it just concerns me that, people are concerned, especially with rising gas prices and everything else going on. I just quickly did a count of the couple of hundred you probably have on here. There's only 22, 23 that are $3 or more. A lot of them are just pennies, as I can see. Would it be, just as a compromise, maybe to just make it $3 or less than $3, I guess, would be, people, if they overpay, but a lot of it's got to be rounding. It's got to be rounding with their banks, they're just.
There's
last payment or something.
various things. Some people purposely overpay so they don't get double billed, because if they don't pay enough and they're short, which is the second shoe that we haven't talked tonight, then I have a problem there as well, because then I have to rebill them, and it costs me just as much to rebill as it did the original bill.
make up
So
the difference.
it just starts going up, and then they miss a month, so now they're short interest, and I have to bill them again. And by the time, it's just a vicious circle for some people, because they pay at the last minute, they miss their time windows, and by law, I have to pick up interest because I have no way of relief for that, but that's for a second discussion.
I don't think people are overpaying by 20 cents and $3. It's got to be probably, I'm guessing, and I may be wrong, it's their mortgages that are paying off, and they're paying off the last one or whatever.
Some of them are. Some of them, for instance, will, because they don't want the second bill, purposely overpay the first bill because they don't think it's going to get to me in time.
Okay.
And it does get to me in time, many times, and that causes, there's myriad causes here when you go through the system to do this. It's a nuisance to keep track of, a big nuisance.
Let me ask one other question.
Yes.
Is it all possible that whatever the amount is, just gets credited to the next bill instead of you issuing all these checks?
No, we're not allowed to.
Not allowed to.
Not allowed to, because it has to remain within the fiscal year or the general ledger year in which we're collecting it. And I asked that myself. I said, well, why don't we just apply it?
Right.
I've got places where people have big credits from the prior year and they're delinquent this year. I can't just move the money. I got to get permission from the taxpayer before I can do anything to do that. And if the taxpayer actually specifies the specific bill they intend to be paid and they've got back taxes, I have to apply to the back taxes. But it causes these dollars and cents issues that pop up here simply because we're not good enough. Everybody isn't accurate enough to fall within that.
Yeah, Tom, just briefly.
Yes.
So, again, the statute allows you to do this,
Yes,
and if we support this, you believe that this will save the town money?
yes.
Thank you.
And when you said less than $5, is that what the ordinance deems, or or you make up your own figure?
No, that is specified in the, as a matter of fact, I think I gave you copies, Jim did earlier, in one of
I
those.
remember
I
seeing something.
apologize.
Yeah,
It's in
if you read the
Right, so-
statute, and I reread it a couple times
So it
before I
is less
came
than
tonight.
5, they say.
It's less than 5 in the law.
It's fine.
So that's what they say. Most of our towns, by the way, around here, I think with the exception of Milford, do have that in there already. The thing for our discussion next time around is that most of these people that put this in here put these in a long time ago. So when you figure out what the actual inflation and everything is doing, $5 on the back end is probably closer to 10.
Yep.
I've seen several in here going through this that are deceased also.
Well, that's another thing. Then we have to go after the estate, and then we have to follow that up. It slows us down on the stuff we're needing to go after, and it's with the fact I've only got one other person working in my office now for this type of stuff. I got another stack of stuff this deep right on my desk right now about overdue motor vehicles that are definitely
These are
worth
one
my
penny-
interest to try and
$1 or
collect.
10 cents. You can see the difference. So, Okay,
So Jimmy, point of order.
Yep.
We have to close and come out
to vote,
of,
yes.
so unless there's more discussion, I'd like to
Move to close.
move to close.
Anybody from the public?
Oh, Mr. Davis?
It's got to switch, Tom.
Yep, no problem.
Paul Davis, 335 Smith Farm Road. I understand the concept here and the need for the administrative improvement. There's just something that rubs me the wrong way because it's a benefit to the town, and I don't know how the statute reads, but what if somebody owes the town $2? It's going to cost maybe $20 to try and collect that, but we can't forgive that $2.
That's the other shoe, and that's the other thing we're gonna be.
Okay, so you will be addressing
That's
that?
item 8 that will be on next month.
Okay. All right. That's just the thing that hit me.
Stay, you don't have enough excitement going on.
Hey.
You want that too?
They have
Well-
to be separate ordinances.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's
See you next month.
it's number 8.
We'll be here.
Okay, with that, is there anybody else out there? Be fair, no?
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve as presented.
You got, oh, I
My
thought,
apologies.
Oh,
all right, close,
John closes, I second.
Yeah.
okay, I didn't, okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, now the motion to approve the petition.
Correct. Less than $5.
Second.
J.C. Yes.
You know, I thought, looking at a compromise for this, I'm going to vote in favor of the motion, but in deference to Paul, who just brought this up, I was going to bring up as well. Tax Collector Hurley has also brought forth another potential ordinance that will forgive or not bill for certain amounts, which we will discuss going forward. So I think that there's a balancing act there that I think will be appropriate. So I'll vote in favor.
Let me see, hold on a minute, let me see if we have, let's see. Okay. Here, Paul, I want this back, but you can read it in the meantime. That's item number 8. Okay, all in favor on this one now? We've made the motion, second discussion, okay. Unanimous, very good. All right. This goes here. Very good, this goes there. All right. All righty. Okay, now we can move on to public participation. Public participation is for any item that is not an agenda item, and we allow you 2 minutes to speak on it. No.
Thank you for 2 minutes. Tom Paisano here, 523 Fairway Road, Orange, Connecticut. Just want to draw attention to an item that will be discussed later. It's item 4 on the today's agenda, Selectmen's agenda.
Yeah, that you have to wait for.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about that. I just want to draw attention to it so that at some point we can get some public input into it. So it is something that's being done, and I just want to draw attention that we really should have some public input. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Okay. He didn't even take 1 minute. Okay, you got that one? All right, public participation, I think you're here for something else, so do that.
I also,
Name and, well, for the record, too.
yep, just let me pass these out to you.
Okay. I got one to Mitch.
Paul Davis, 335 Smith Farm Road. For the record, I am a member of the Amity Board of Education, but I am not here in an official capacity, speaking only as a resident. There are 3 items that I'd like to bring to your attention. One is a request by myself, and speaking for my wife Debbie, for a property tax refund. Secondly, is a request to the Board of Selectmen to correct a problem relating to the current town budget, new town budget for fiscal 22-23. Number 3, concerns about the unethical use of an elected official's office. First of all, the tax refund. And I draw your attention to the paper I gave you. Won't go through the details of the whole thing, but the column that's listed as orange. And if you look at the very bottom of that column, you'll see a number of $4,849, $4,489,606.60. This is the amount of money, according to my research, that has been refunded to the town of Orange in the last 4 years from the Amity Regional School District. That money was appropriated by the taxpayers in the district for use by the regional district's operations. Money that was unused cannot be kept by the regional district and must be returned to the taxpayers. To my knowledge, I have not gotten a penny of that money, and I don't know where it is. I looked through many of the town's years of financial information and couldn't find it. It's probably there somewhere, but the question is, where, what's being done with it, and does the town have the authority to appropriate that money for something other than the Amity School District, if they're not going to give it back to the taxpayers? I mean, those, to me, though, there's the only two choices. So I'd like to go on record as saying that needs to be researched. Secondly, and Selectman Goldblatt brought this issue up, we presented a budget to the people of Orange that was inaccurate. The money was not approved to go to the Amity District, yet we presented that budget and then put it up for a vote, and it was voted in favor of at a higher amount. We had a second referendum for the regional district. It was not passed. So now the proposed referendum coming up Tuesday is even a lower amount. So my question is, and Mitch, you mentioned this, what is the alternative for the town? Because you may have maybe a $500,000 hole there between what you're asking the taxpayers to pay and what we're paying for the regional district if this passes. And I don't know what the issue is. Well, you won't have a hole, but you'll have $500,000 that's not appropriated for anything. It's just there.
True.
And so my suggestion is, if the Board of Selectmen, as the legislative body in the town, does not have the authority to lower the mill rate by vote, I don't know if it's in the town charter, but maybe calling an emergency meeting of the town meeting, and there ask the town to vote to lower the mill rate.
It's the Board of Finance that does that, I know. And I asked kind of a similar question, and I was told by both Bethany's finance people and Woodbridge's finance people that they were all going with the original proposed number, and we'll go from there. So I don't have an answer for you, but I can safely tell you that all three towns have stayed with the first number proposed, so I don't have an answer for you beyond that. But I actually requested that we held off voting on our budget until
We had
there
the
was
information.
something, and I was told that we couldn't do that.
So, thank you for that information.
That's all I can tell you. Can I add to that? Yes, go ahead.
Well, I think it begs an answer from a town attorney, but, Paul, I think in just like your question about the Amity unspent funds, similarly, it's additional money that's going into the town's budget, which I think, based on the history of the town and the history of sometimes failed referenda, and money coming back, that the town is allowed to use in its budget. And that's going to be a legal question. That's my guess and my thought of what's been done. But to answer your original question, I think it's obvious. The unspent money has come back to the towns and has been used in one way or another to either balance the following year's budget and keep our mill rate lower, and/or been put into the undesignated fund balance and has helped our undesignated fund balance grow to the number it is. So,
They,
Well-
I will say they do infuse, because it's a little bit of an unknown. So I know that the year that hasn't finished yet, I believe there was 800,000 designated from the Amity refund in the budget. And I think in the proposed budget that we voted on, I think is 700, that is built into the budget. That I know. So they do build some of it back in, but since it's an unknown, they can't know exactly. You know, I mean, I think you're gonna have, my personal opinion, I think when you get done with this one right now, your surplus is running right around 900. I think when they get done adding all the little accounts and everything up, you might hit $1.5 million. So then they have to figure out what to do. And that actually, if it's a number that comes close to that, that then Orange is 50, 51%, 50 and a fraction percent. That'll just about cover what they've included in the budget that starts July 1. So that's what I do know on it.
To my knowledge, based on what I believe is correct information, in fiscal, this past year, the district returned $1,427.
Three.
We're squabbling. And I believe this year's budget appropriates $700 of what they anticipate will be the surplus from Amity in next year's fiscal year, and the money that they're getting back from Amity. So they're gambling that they're going to get that money.
Yes,
And
there is.
very honestly, the district has taken a serious amount of abuse from the Board of Finance over the last several years. And they've been abused in the fact that we've been operating the district with a reasonably large surplus and accused of over budgeting and accused of taking money from the taxpayers that they shouldn't have to pay, when the reality is they're not paying for a surplus. The surplus is being returned to Orange, and the town of Orange is the one that is abusing the taxpayers by not getting that money back to them. Every cent of that money should be designated for Amity or returned to the taxpayers, because that's what the voters voted for. Mitch, you mentioned about that other money that is going into the town. That money is, in fact, was never designated for Amity because the Amity voters didn't appropriate it. So the town can do whatever it wants, that extra money between what is appropriated by the voters.
Oh, in the coming
Right,
one.
in the coming year.
Coming one, okay.
However, I disagree with the fact that when the town gets it back, they can do whatever they want, because it was never the town's money. It was always money that was going to Amity. And it was always designated for the use by the Amity district. The fact that state statutes do not permit Amity to hang on to that money doesn't relieve the town of the burden of making sure it gets back to Amity or back to the taxpayers. And that's where the burden is on the taxpayers. So I'd like the town and the town attorneys and you guys get together with the Board of Finance and let them know that is the town and the Board of Finance who is not taking the money they get back from Amity and appropriating it for the next year's budget. That I think is something that has to be considered. I don't think we can argue here anymore.
It's actually approved through our overall budget is where the bill rate is set, after the referendum of
right.
the town of Orange, which has the three
Right.
parts
Right.
to it. So it is actually the town that is approving the town of Orange's budget. They approved Amity's budget, and while they approve Amity's budget, they don't approve the funding mill rate of that budget, because that happens once the town budget
Right.
is approved. So it's being approved, the Amity budget is actually being approved almost in a concept, because it is not levied at that time. It's not levied until the town budget is approved, which is when the mill rate is set after that referendum. So the gathering of the funds is actually all on the Town of Orange.
The gathering of the
And so-
funds is all on the town of Orange. Amity does not have the authority to do that.
No,
But
they don't.
But the town is not exempt from not paying $1 of what the Amity District has approved in the budget and been voted by the district voters. The town has to pay it. It is state statute.
They do pay it. They pay it every month.
Right,
They-
so that's
they
the
pay
money
it.
we're talking about.
Right.
Okay.
And then if there's money left, they can keep, what is it, 1%, I think? something like
Up to
that?
2%, and we
Yeah,
we
but
don't. We
usually you
keep
do
one.
one.
Right.
And then the rest is returned and life goes on.
Okay. Sorry I've taken the time. I was trying to answer your question.
No, that's good. That's fine.
Lastly, I'd like to
This
discuss.
is a very important question now, so you've noticed we've given you a lot of latitude
Right.
on the 2 minutes here.
It is my opinion that a town official, specifically the vice chair and spokesman of the Board of Finance, has used his elected office as a public platform to convince people that a separate government entity, an independent government entity, the Amity School District, which the town of Orange funds through the process as established by state statute, and he has acted in a manner to inappropriately convince the town's voters that they should not vote for the budget as the district believes is necessary to operate. I see nothing wrong with him acting as an individual against the budget. That's up to him. But when he gets into a town meeting, such as he was the other night, and speaks openly about opposing the budget, and I don't know who pays for this stuff, but one article, January, town newspaper, no report from the Board of Finance other than the anger that he has for the Amity budget surplus. February, another one, in which he openly criticizes Amity publicly elected officials. The Amity School District and Board of Education narrowly view their scope of work and seem to show little concern from the taxpayers. I think that is not the behavior we need to see in a public official, and particularly not in a public forum when he's representing the Board of Finance. And then we go to March, another full page of reports on the Amity, quote, cost of surplus, Amity budget update, and voting awareness. I think this cost of surplus is absolutely ridiculous. We can't keep the surplus other than that 1 or 2%. So the cost of surplus is nothing, because a surplus doesn't cost you anything until you spend the money. And it's the town of Orange that's spending the money, not the Amity District, if they spend it. If we get it back to Amity, we don't have the problem. But if you claim a $3 million surplus, and you collect that $3 million surplus, you return it to the town, and the town just rolls it over the next year, and there's another $3 million surplus. It's not $3 million more, it's the same $3 million. And the taxpayers aren't charged anything. So the town has to figure out a way to make the taxpayers whole. When there's a surplus at Amity, that money should be used the next year or whenever it's available for the Amity budget. And lastly, April 15th, another page with the Amity budget. This was the last one before the referendum, and decline in Amity enrollment, student enrollment, those papers that we gave you, by the way, the
Is
three.
that those?
No.
that- oh, those are different.
No, those have information on the Board of Education's, this is its own Board of Education's material, our own research on the Amity surplus and how we believe the information that the Board of Finance gave the town is totally inaccurate and completely unreliable about Amity. And it also goes into other questions about where the money is being used and where the money is coming from. And for the Board of Finance to say, you don't have to cut anything that you have, you can just use your surplus that you're going to have next year because you build in extra money. Well, you know, in a conservative budget, there's always a little bit to move around. I don't know if there's going to be a large surplus next year. I can tell you, just in the area of one line item, and it'll give you an example. Last year, the amount of money in our claims line item, 75% of it was used.
That's always an unknown.
That's an
We have the
unknown,
same problem here.
but I'm just using this because you can see the difference it makes. This year, we're running over 100% right now. The difference in money is $1 million. So if you want us to gamble, you guys can gamble because you have a fund that you can use to reimburse yourself. We don't have that. And we're not going to gamble. When the superintendent is told you need to cut, every single dollar is appropriated in line items for everything that goes on at Amity. She has to cut something. And it's not just saying, okay, we're just going to take money. So that's the issue that they have not presented to the people. And every meeting I heard, all you guys have to do is just cut the money. You have plenty of money. It's going to be a surplus. And that was, by the way, presented at our last board meeting, and we reviewed why that's not really possible as a way of handling our budget. So that's what I have. I do think that it may be important for the Board of Selectmen to look at the ethics of what we have and behaviors of our town and elected officials as they operate in that position. Maybe review it, maybe develop some new ideas. But in any case, I think maybe the vice chair should be asked to apologize for his comments about negative comments, official negative comments about the Amity Board. That's it. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Yes.
Quick question. The articles you refer to, Paul, you say they're authored by the vice chairman.
Yes,
Are they
yes.
authored as an individual, or are they authored as the vice chairman of the Board of Finance?
Town department and agencies, cost of surplus, Amity budget, update and voting awareness, responding to taxpayers' questions by Jim Leahy, Vice Chairman, Orange Board of Finance. Vote Amity budget referendum by Jim Leahy. Facts to consider regarding the Amity budget request. This one, proposed Amity budget would significantly impact taxes. Any budget significantly impacts taxes. Why is Amity listed there? Orange Board of Finance supports .41. Ultimately, taxpayers will decide on budget support by Jim Leahy, Vice Chairman, Orange Board of Finance. And this one, that's the second page. Okay, so that's the second page of that last one.
So
sometimes-
Paul, my only response to that is if you feel that someone has acted in an unethical way, there is a Board of Ethics that this town has, and that's the appropriate forum it should be
Okay.
brought to.
For that.
That would
All
be my answer to that.
Okay, appreciate that
Yep.
information. I thank you all.
Very good.
And I do want to remind people that the referendum is this Tuesday, and you can vote at High Plains anytime between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, is there anybody else for public participation before I go to the announcements? Anybody for announcements? Mitchell?
Just a quick one. I want
Shredding day.
to, I want to thank, I want to thank the Board of Selectmen for moving tonight's meeting from last night to tonight.
We gained one, lost three.
Yeah, I know. Well, you might have lost, but I was fortunate enough last night to be awarded a Paul Harris Fellowship honor from the Orange Rotary Club. Kathy Bradley is here, the outgoing president, and I was very much touched and honored, and I'm glad, and I appreciate the board moving tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Either of you two? No, we're good. All right, I only have a few things you left me. You're not staying for number 8?
Actually, it had the thing in I was most concerned about, given the authority to
Okay.
select the rest.
Watch it on TV.
Yeah.
All right.
Well done, Vice Chair.
All right. First, I'd like to thank Fred Palmer. Fred Palmer gave us an inordinate amount of years as the Emergency Management Director, and he's worked on that through his family, through illnesses, through many things, and he's done a great job for the town of Orange, and he decided it was time for him to step down and let the chairmanship, the lead on that, move forward, and it was moved to Tim Borer, who's our deputy fire marshal, who has a lot of experience in that area, and Tino Russo. The two of them are handling that now. They took over for the emergency management director positions. And so I thank Fred for his years of service there. He's still doing other things. He's still a volunteer fireman, he's still chairman of the Silverbrook Congregational Housing, among other things, but he's decided to step down from this one. He's starting to enjoy life a little bit and travel a little bit, so, stop it, Judy. And so, so congratulations, Fred, truly. Amity Regional School District, the meeting is at 6:15 in the presentation room on Monday, June 13th. And the third budget referendum is Tuesday, June 14th. For those in orange, it is at the High Plains Community Center Gymnasium from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. All districts vote at High Plains Gymnasium. All three districts will vote there, the 114th, 117th, 119th, for this type of a vote, excuse me. Yes.
To that for 1 second. I've been surprised. I mean, we all know that the voting turnouts have been low for referenda.
Not lately.
Still low, but not as low. I've been made aware of the fact that there are some people in town that erroneously feel they are unable to vote for the Amity budget unless they have children in the school system. So we should make it clear that all registered voters can vote in this referendum. I've been made aware of that by at least 2 people in the last couple of months.
I haven't heard that one.
I was surprised, but there must be more people that may feel that way, that they can't vote because they don't have anybody in the school system. Every registered voter is allowed to vote.
Thank you for that, Mitch. Those of you who did not hear, if you are a registered voter in the town of Orange, you are entitled to vote, children or no children, in the Amity system. That is a voting right for anybody who's a registered voter in the town. June is Dog License Month. Residents who own dogs should obtain their yearly dog license from the clerk before June 30th. Licenses may be obtained starting June 1st. This Saturday, June 11th, is the Orange Congregational Church's Strawberry Festival. It will take place at the fairgrounds. That's pretty much an all-day event until the mid-afternoon, I believe. And the rain date is the 12th. Anne Marie Slyby, the Orange Farmers Market, will begin Thursday, June 23rd, under the pavilion at High Plains Community Center. Will be a little bit of a slow start initially with produce. There will be other items. There will be some produce there, but due to the cold spring, it was a late start for some of those participants, and so it won't be. Monday, July 4th, town offices and the transfer station will be closed on Monday, July 4th. Tomorrow, June 10th, is the actual 200th anniversary of the first town meeting of the town of Orange, when the town of Orange separated from the Milford, and North Milford actually then became the town of Orange. That is, June 10th was that first meeting. Saturday, July 9th, concert and fireworks. The rain date is July 10th. Festivities begin at 6:30 p.m. There'll be food trucks, concert featuring the Weaklings, a Beatles tribute band, followed by fireworks at 9:30 p.m. Those are my announcements for today. Minutes. To consider and act upon the minutes of the May 11th regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If there's any errors, omissions, or corrections, please state name, page, and paragraph. I'm needing that water. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. New business. To consider and act on approval of bid recommendation for municipal solid waste hauling and disposal, Mr. Brinton.
Come on down.
Actually, you might as well could almost bring a chair. You got plenty of things here.
Join us at the table. Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay, the first one is a four-year.
MSW.
Yeah, four-year contract for solid waste hauling and disposal from the transfer station. We had two bidders. The low bidder is City Carting. It's a current vendor, and we're happy with them. They're the low bidder, so I recommend awarding to City Carting based on their submitted bid.
This is for the municipal solid waste, for those of you that are home, which, any of you who use the transfer station, that is when you go in and go to the left and go up to the top of the hill to the big hopper. That is the MSW that we are referring to. So, yes, Mitchell.
I see that the bid is $95 a ton. People should be aware of that. It's $95
say
a
that
ton
next. Yep.
to dispose of. What is, do you know what the current amount is?
I think I mentioned it, 98.
98, so it's actually got down a
So
little bit.
I was actually kind of pleased with
Oh, yeah, you
the
did.
trash prices because the trash energy plant in Hartford is closing this
Yep.
summer. All those towns have to go somewhere else, so there's huge demand. Plus, you know what diesel fuel is going for,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
All right, so before it gets higher, I'll make a motion to approve.
Wait, and I have a question.
Yes.
Roughly how many tons? Do you have that, just for people to understand how much trash we're hauling away?
I think it's like, oh, well, I got it in the,
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I think it's, I
Well,
want to say
let's-
4,500, about 4,500 tons is what.
4,500 tons.
Yeah,
Is that a year, a month? What are we
Year,
doing? A
annual.
year, that's a lot.
yeah.
Okay, just to let them know. Okay.
Yes, it is. Okay, so his recommendation is to go with the current provider, and it's actually $3 less than what we currently pay per ton. So it would be to a four-year contract to City Carting, as proposed, as bid. Is there a motion made on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
seconded it.
Okay. Don't worry. Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Okay. Second one, to consider and act on approval of the bid recommendation for the bulky waste hauling and disposal. Now, bulky waste is for those of you who bring material in, and you go to the right side of the attendance shed and check in with the ever-lovely Mr. Jerry there, and then you drive around and back in on the slab, and you dump, whether it be lumber, old furniture, demolition material, all those sort of things. That is the bulky waste area. So with that said, Mr. Brenton?
Yeah, and for many people, you go over the scale now that the,
Yes.
or
If
they-
it's over
250
250 pounds, there is a charge for that.
Okay, so we had, again, two bids, and the low bidder is City Carting, again, the current vendor. This one is a bit of an increase. We're currently at 84.66 a ton, and next year it will be 99. But,
$15. But we also, we raised, and if we have the latitude that we don't collect enough to pay for it altogether, but we do, after we instituted that fee, collect some of that funds to help offset that. When we got hammered on this one, when COVID first started to hit, people they were stuck at home, and people were cleaning out their garages, basements, sheds, everything under the sun, and we were filling, those big roll-offs that are there hold about 25 tons, and we had days we were filling 3 and 4 of those in a day. People were just cleaning out, they were purging everything. So, it gets a lot of use, but now there is a fee for that over 250 pounds people have to pay, so it helps offset it a little bit.
Motion approved.
Okay. Okay, motion made by JC, seconded by MG. All in favor?
thank you.
Item number 3 is to consider and act on the approval of the bid recommendation for recyclables collection and hauling services. Mr. Brenton?
Okay, recyclables, we had 3 bids that were received. The
The highest bid was from Oak Ridge, and I attached what they had sent. They almost basically said, we don't have the equipment, and if we can manage to get the equipment, we'll serve you, otherwise we can't, but they're very high. We have different prices in here for the curbside pickup, as well as for hauling from the transfer station, and also included in the bid is picking up at town buildings and schools. And then because of the 4-year thing, the different companies are increasing at different rates, and they have different prices. So looks like when we analyze it, the first 2 years, city carting is lowest, the second 2 years, residential waste system is lowest. And based on our estimates, over the whole period of 4 years, city carting would be about 8,700 more. But I'm still recommending that we go with city carting because they're the sure thing. I mean, I did check the references. There's nothing bad about residential waste systems. I talked to the owner, and he said he has the equipment. But the service was considered good with the driver we have with, picking up recycling. And I don't know whether it would be bad with residential waste. It may not be, but.
You didn't say that. You just said you made your
Yeah,
recommendation.
yep.
It seems to work. Go ahead, Mitch, this is your
I've got a
baby,
couple
so.
questions. So, I see that the hauling from well, first of all, the hauling of residential collection, we're paying per house, per year, $50 to $65 over the 4 years. I think people should understand that that's a cost to the town, that when they put out their blue bin, there is a cost to that, but it is saving us significantly over what the cost is for the disposal of municipal solid waste. But the hauling from the transfer station, we've had 2 bids before this that quoted us per ton, and yet these quote us per trip. Is there a reason for that, number one? Number two, when we pull out the municipal solid waste, how many tons, or is there, how many tons are in each, approximately, each load?
We do weigh them, but for this contract, we're just paying them to haul it to the Oak Ridge facility.
Right.
And they charge us a separate tipping fee. So in a way, we don't really care what the tonnage is, it's just
So
hauling.
much a roll-off.
Okay. And Oak Ridge is charging us as well?
Right.
They're the receiver
Yep.
of the material. They
And they-
used to be Winter Brothers.
Yeah, I realize
Same
that.
place.
Yeah.
And the
Been
good
there.
news is that the costs have been going down for
Right.
the recycling tipping fee.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so is there
So moved. Second.
to accept Mr. Britton's recommendation?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Got that one. Item number 4 is to consider act on approval of bid recommendation for Fred Wolfe Park concrete curbing. This is a LoCIP fund thing. I thought Mr. Britton had given Ian that out to you when he wrote the other information down. This one is the beginning, Mr. Pisano spoke to this earlier. As you will see from that, if you follow this, let me get my bearings right, okay. Here's Hollow Road over here, there's the driveway coming in. There's 4 trees on this side, 3 large ones, 1 small one that will be coming down by our men, separate from this. And that entry there is going to be shifted over a little bit so that it's a more direct, straight route coming in. Currently, when it was originally designed, it came in around that loop. There's that little bit of pavement there, and it shoots the people off, kind of off at a tangent that way. It's going to be changed so that when they come in, they're going to be coming straight up and into an intersection. That intersection is where you now take the, well, depending how you approach it, you will be taking a right to go in. You would go right and left to go to La Crosse, or you would go right and straight ahead, and then into a parking lot beyond where the playground will be. The reason we stopped right here on this side is because that's still an unknown at this point until the playground is built. And then once that playground is built, there will be more curbing work and all to be done. But like I said, at this point, it's an unknown until the playground is built. This has been discussed at Park and Rec. Dan Lynch has made the committee aware of it. This side here, the long side where the entry is getting redone, and this way is a single wall here. Behind this will be timber rail, similar to what we just completed on the soccer field side. And then beyond that, once the playground builds their playground, they have chain link figured into their project, which will then be behind that. So you will have a cement curb, you will have a timber rail, low fence, and then you will have chain link separating people and traffic from that area. In order to get to it, you're gonna come up to that intersection, take a right, drive down that new driveway, which is probably, they made a lot of headway on it with the reclaim and all of the roads this year. We're really getting very close to the point where that part is good. And we have a big pile of reclaim down there, which we will be moving. And then there's a stone wall in there. From that stone wall out to Oak View will be a paved strip so that people aren't tracking stone, crap, and debris out onto Oak View Road. So the only part of there that will be paved will be from this interior stone wall out to the street. But I want to do it so that I can do that one and hopefully the Hollow Road driveway as it's widened and shifted a little bit at the same time. So when we bid it, whoever the contractor is can do one and then do the other, so that maybe, we'll get that all straightened out as well. This other loop right here, which would be when you approach and go to take the right and then the left to go to La Crosse, this one is a double wall all the way around, and this one is, I think it's 7 feet wide, so that it's wide enough that it can be planted with some sort of decorative trees there. And also, that's going to be the same thing where you approach in for the new entryway. You're going to have the curb, the timber rail fence, and that will have some flowering trees, whether koosas or dogwoods or cherries or whatever it may be. But that will be also that one there. But that's the side that's the unknown until they get their material. It's supposed to arrive in, we're hoping for August, but that remains to be seen. It's everything that's coming from overseas or other places, it's kind of an unknown. So that's where we are at the moment. So that's why there's not a definitive total amount of feet. And Bob bid this by the foot because we can expand on it if we need to. And if we knew, like I said, once that one goes in and where that playground parking lot is going to be and all, part of that will be curbed also. So hopefully it will be the same contractor again, and they will just pick up where they left off with the project. And then if we decide to put some other curbing in, say opposite that double loop on that other side where that new field is, we have the latitude while they're there. We have a cost per foot. We know what it is. They bid X amount per foot, and we actually had 3 bids. One was a verbal, and 2 were people that were there. And I used the third bid, the verbal, to verify the prices to make sure we weren't getting taken. And it was the third person on the phone, I think you were sitting there when I did it, throughout, and it's a large contractor out of New Haven, threw the exact same dollar amount at me, completely unknown. So that made me, and Bob, feel a lot better with that. And we actually have a new pickup group that have been using that field on the other side for evening soccer a couple nights a week, the new side there. Yeah, it's a group of young men, so that's kind of nice too. So anyhow, the bid is estimated the footage at this time. It is LoCIP funds, and that is where we are with that. Mitch? Yes, go ahead.
So Jim, a couple questions.
No problem.
Why the need for the, I mean, it would probably look nice, but why the need for the double wall on the curb there?
Because that one, you see where that piece of old parking lot
Yeah,
is?
yeah.
So you don't want somebody coming into there and then jumping that piece of curb saying, oh, I missed the driveway.
I got you. I
Part. So
see.
if you make it a double and plant it,
Yep.
it becomes a little more defined and it makes it look a little more like a park
Yep.
instead of downtown. You know, that was my intent with that when Bob and I laid this out. We met out there, Bob and myself and Dan Lynch met out there, several weeks ago now. And we all agreed, it's not going all the way down to where you come into Wolfe Park. There's a stone wall down there, and we're leaving a piece not curbed there because depending on how the playground committee has that laid out, that may be a grass strip around that perimeter, so they can keep that mowed. So if we don't put a curb there, then they can drive the mower in right around it, so that you have a barrier between, the woods and the edge of the playground. I'd like to leave it set back from there a little bit, and so we did set it back a little bit from that. But eventually, you'll probably see possibly some sort of a center island there. And talking with the traffic engineers who helped me with this part of it, and then Bob, you may see a center island even in there, kind of in between the black line and that white car on that aerial. Because what you could do, if you put that, then you can have a little better control of your traffic. People are coming in on one side, they're not cutting over in front of other people, they have to come up to the intersection, is how he described it to me. Then they decide they take the left or the right. It's a little more safety and traffic control. That's what he advised me on that, and I'm not the traffic expert, so that was that. And while we were there, we also met with Michael Grillo from Grillo Green Cycle, I think he is, something like that. And they did take out 20 tractor-trailer loads of wood chips from down there. There's still a behemoth pile down there, but they took 20 100-yard walk-in floor trailers out of there, and it did reduce that encroachment there a lot, a real lot there. So that helped also. But this is just as we move forward, that driveway out to Oak View, I had promised would be completed by the time the playground is completed. And so we're working on that, and we're working on correcting the driveway in also.
So my second question, Jim,
Go
has
ahead.
to do with the driveway coming in as you show it. The only concern I have is the fact that the reason the driveway was so meandering in the first place was because my understanding at the time was where you showing a new driveway was all wetlands. So has that been staked out?
No, it's where I'm talking about with the trees is not. That's
All right.
further, that's probably.
So there's 253 feet is going to now be more of a straight shot from Hollow Road?
No, that's not Hollow Road. That's once you come into the park. See those stones down there below the red
Oh,
line?
okay.
You're in the
I
park
thought this
there.
was Hollow Road.
No.
Here.
Hollow Road is beyond it. See, it's
Oh,
written in
okay.
black,
I got
to
you.
Hollow
To
Road.
Hollow Road, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
sorry. I thought that was, I'm sorry, I thought that was the end of Hollow Road and it was coming straight where,
No.
gotcha.
No, the stone
Okay.
wall is down beyond those stones. You can see below
Gotcha.
the red line in that aerial. And then the 4 trees that have to come down are on dry ground.
So this concrete curb is basically going to be
Interior.
to the right of the existing, what begins as the parking area.
Well,
Because
it wasn't even parking area.
You're coming out of
Several
the
months ago.
woods, so to speak, and it
And
kind
it's
of
gonna be
opens
on,
up.
it's gonna be on your right-hand side.
I see that, yeah.
Yes.
All right. And the need for the concrete curb on that side is aesthetics or just?
It's partly to make a boundary. We also listed it to be 8 inches high, higher than a normal curb is normally, I think, 4 to 6 inches.
Okay.
And this one, I wanted it higher so they're not as apt to jump, and then you'll have that timber rail fence behind it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of safety barrier and directional. If they do decide to pave that someday, that part, I'm intending it to be gravel or millings, but if somebody someday decides they want to pave it by having an 8-inch curb, you can still put down a 2.5-inch compacted to 2-inch asphalt and still have 6-inch exposure.
But is the intent to bring the road straight like that
Yep.
against the curb?
Yeah, that
Okay.
lane, that lane will be coming straight up to that intersection,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, and make it an actual, it looks like naturally it'd be a stop sign there, I would think.
Well, there may be with time. Actually, what I hope to put there is a sign a nice sign, kind of like what you did at the dump, but with, sign, lacrosse
Which way,
field,
yeah.
playground parking. At some point, there's gonna be, we may not fit it where I wanted to now because of the expansion of the parking and all, but, we went from 22 spaces to 48 spaces, I believe. What was I gonna say? The parking?
What about the
It's the
intersection there?
signage. But, yeah, so hopefully there'll be directional signage there to get the people to understand
Which way to go? Okay.
where to go there, and there'll be enough parking. Pickleball. That's what it was. We will have pickleball down there eventually, but it may not go where I had hoped, only because this is, I've moved this driveway over and shifted some things to make it line up a little better for concerns that have been brought to this table repeatedly. And so in trying to improve the traffic concerns and all, and hopefully it controls the speed a little bit. I mean, I've been down there multiple times with contractors, and even the speed humps I installed on Hollow Road don't seem to slow some of the users down. But, it is what it is. It's all about safety.
So one last thing, Jim.
Go
So where you have the double wall,
Yep.
that's actually going to be, especially when it's planted, should be, I would hope, more of a deterrent to people crossing directly, some of Tom's concerns of crossing directly from the playground area, future playground area, to the soccer fields and vice versa. It's even more.
Very
it's got to
good,
be-
Mitchell.
It's going to have to be more direct into some sort of crosswalk, I would think.
Absolutely correct. And there's a break between the upper side of the loop of it and the chain link fence corner that was just installed by the soccer field.
Yep.
And then that crosses over to the break, what do they call it, a passway or whatever, to get into the other new field.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So, any other questions?
It's coming.
Mr. Pizzano, would you like to comment on it, or just send out emails out on me?
Be there to begin with, so we'll talk about that at the next meeting.
Motion to approve
Second.
petition as
All right,
presented.
very good.
We've been talking about the actual concrete curbing. The motion is to go with Bob's recommendation for Prindle Hill construction?
Yes.
Okay.
As presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good.
Thank you all.
Okay. Item number 5, to consider an act on request to authorize the first selectman on behalf of the board to execute a deferral of property revaluation for 1 year to postpone the revaluation to October 1, 2023. J.F. Ryan, who Mark contracted with, has no problem with that. They carry the price forward. This actually, believe it or not, this actually came from the legislature, this request. Yeah, well, it was kind of interesting. Hartford was looking for a reval deferral, except they didn't want to have Hartford just by themselves. So OPM, no, but they're getting some too. And so OPM sent out a request list. And so Mark said, well, we can defer it for a year with OPM's approval. Usually they're coming down on you for not doing it in time.
Yep.
And so what it does is, it will defer it, so then that puts that will go then to, instead of the October 1, 22 grand list, which would then be on your July 1st, 23 bill, you now will go to the October 1st, 2023 grand list, so it will then affect the July 1st, 2024 tax bill with the revaluations. And hopefully, the bubble may shift or change a little bit from what we've seen in our region, but especially in Orange with the values.
Right.
So-
moved.
So we have to do that. It was required
And
that we.
only four towns from October.
And there's gonna be, and then the son of a guns, they're gonna do 5 next year. They already know who the 5 are.
Yeah, that's
they're
right,
going.
it's in B on the same thing.
Yeah.
But, okay.
So, okay, so that was Judy and John,
Unanimous.
and it was unanimous. Yeah, they required that we take it for a resolution vote on that. Okay, thank you. Number 6 is to consider an act on request to conduct a block party in the Muirfield Road neighborhood. You have the request in front of you from 2 of the residents. One is our current town clerk. They've had it before, so,
So moved. Second.
okay. Unanimous. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And I hope you're watching. I'm taking good notes here. No, never happened. Item number 7 is to consider an act on request, oh, this one cracked me up. To consider an act on request from the Connecticut Yankee Council to use the High Plains Community Center and Fairgrounds and all for Con Jam 2025, May 16th through 18th, 2025. The Con Jam 2025 committee. They just did their Con Jam. It was outstanding. We had no problems. They cleaned the place up, they fixed stuff, they left it probably better than they got it. And they're asking to book it for 2025.
So moved. Second.
You know, so you can't do better than that. They had this really neat thing too, which Jeff is supposed to, all in favor?
Aye.
Jeff is supposed to be looking into, if he's watching. They had a zip line, a portable zip line, and it had a tower. And it went down, it was right out in front of the school on the asphalt. And I said, Jeff, you need to see if that vendor is available the 17th, 18th of the Orange Fair. I said, that would be a great attraction. It was slow turnover. They had quite a line. But if you saw it, it was really, really something different. And so, but they had some great stuff there, and the kids did a great job. And their opening ceremony was, I was there, obviously, was outstanding. And it was really well done. And the Mother Nature wasn't 100% cooperative with them. But you know what? They were there anyhow, and I think some of those dads probably had some creaky bones sleeping in those tents with the rain coming down and all, but you know what? They do it for their children, and it was a great program there.
Pretty cool.
Item number 8, to consider an act on request to conduct a public hearing during the July 13th, 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting regarding Orange Town Code, Chapter 350 taxation regarding authorization to waive property taxes of $25 or less. At this point, if you want to have some discussion on it, Mr. Hurley is still here. Otherwise, next month is you can make a motion to move it to public hearing. Mr. Davis read it, and it covered what he was concerned with.
So moved.
I'll second that, but I do have a quick question since Mr. Hurley is here.
Yes.
Tom, for the next meeting, though, can you bring to our attention, just like you did tonight, the total amount that's going to be affected by this? Because this could be significant. Because if people are not, if
His
people.
mouth is open, he might
Okay.
have it already.
You have an answer?
We're going to be looking at that, but we're trying to get you the 2020, the next billing cycle, because that will be the one.
He'll know what the
that actually
accurate
shows
numbers
things.
are.
The biggest issue always is when people start paying things off, they start not being, showing up on my reports. So I'm gonna try and get the billing, the bills, by the way, should be out by shortly after the 15th. And once I've got those numbers there, then I can do that for you.
Okay. And can you also, so I'm going to, maybe give me a call in the meantime. I've got some other questions, and maybe we can head some things off before the hearing. But the other thing is, I'd like you to look at not only the total amount of $25 or less, but the total amount of $5 or less, which would mirror what we just did on the other side.
Sure.
I'd like to see that.
We'll look at it.
All right? Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on that one? Now we voted, we have a motion and second to send it to public hearing for the July meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. To consider an act on request to approve tax refunds totaling $5,060.25.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Now he's doing it to me. All right, all in favor? I have to write, I'm writing over here.
We really miss him, for goodness sake.
Yeah, we're gonna say.
He's struggling over there.
Okay, now we're all right. Okay, pension board, any report?
Yeah, a small report is the fact that, as many of you know, for the last 20 or more years now, the pension on our employees has been closed. So there's very few people that are still working for the town that are in the pension plan, which means the vast, vast majority are on a 403 or 457 plan, I believe it is. But it's a deferred compensation plan that has been run by one vendor for a long time. And at the advice of our finance director, John Cifarelli, with help from Walter Gear, there was some questions that had come up, and we've done an RFQ or RFP to look at the fees and the administration that's been done with that plan for the vast majority of our employees. And lo and behold, we have found that there are significantly less fees that could be charged by other vendors. So the pension committee is having well, I shouldn't say we're supposed to be having a special meeting. We should try to find a date everybody can make it, probably between now and the July meeting. So there's a good possibility that hopefully by July, I'll have a recommendation to you. We're going to interview the two lowest bidders and probably make a recommendation to this board from the pension committee, pension board, to change our administration of those funds to another supplier that's going to hopefully save our employees money and also have a better relationship, if you will, with the finance department.
There was a significant difference. Yeah, you're right, when you make your choice. The one thing you might say, when did the pension board stop? It was 2000, the pension, 2000.
I want to say about 2000, around 2000,
It was
maybe
you and
2002.
Sousa,
Yeah, but it
so-
had to be phased out, so I'm not sure the exact, but it's been about 20 years.
22
Yeah,
years.
Yeah.
So the town of Orange has not been adding to a pension burden for
Correct.
20-plus years anyhow. So, just for those at home to understand that. Okay, let's see. So then the last thing we have is, to close the meeting, we will be going into an executive session to discuss the proposed labor agreement between the town and highway union. It took a little while to get this settled, but it finally did, and then it was ready. But we had town meeting, and also we couldn't change it, do it then, so we'll be doing that tonight. So we will be going into executive session. Motion made?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
You gotta tell Chris we're gonna go into executive session too. Okay, good evening. We were in executive session to discuss the labor agreement between the town and the highway department. We have had our discussion on that, and we're back in at 8:41. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agreement between the Town of Orange and the Orange Highway Department, ASME Local 1303-21, for the time period of retroactive to July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024.
Second.
Okay. Seeing any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous. Thank you. As you will see, there is still more going on in town. Before we adjourn, you'll see the last few trailers that were left in the trailer park have been vacated, and actually, it'd be of interest to you after what we just spoke about. They're cleaning that site up. The last few residents have moved out, and it's going to be a two-story big building for an orthopedic group is building there. And so that is a wonderful use. It's a needed use, and it's a great location, and it's good for our tax base also. And if anybody's driving along on Edison Road, take a look at Aurora Products, you will see a massive addition being added on the front of that building. Stephanie is maxing out her ground coverage to what she could do there, and they're building it right now as we speak, and that's another huge home run for the town of Orange. She will be probably coming in requesting a tax abatement, but something that people need to remember, we've done a lot of economic development. This board here has done a great job with economic development, and we've granted a bunch of tax abatements. Those abatements that we granted, and it was all of us, with the exception of PJ, agreed to all of those, and those are coming off, the UI being a big one of those. And that is why you saw your grand list go up this year and your mill rate drop, is because of that. And that's because of the work that this group has recognized how important the economic development is and those tax abatements. They work, and we have a couple, the zoning board the other night approved the use for a piece of land that was zoned like commercial industrial, the get-off ramp property off of exit 41 if you were coming from Milford. On your right-hand side, that old gray, like industrial building that has a commercial florist and all in it. Well, there's a user has been after that for quite a while, and we had to get zoning and them together to make it all work. And it's very exciting because, yes, there will be convenience and gas and food stops as part of that, but they're also gonna be building an EV vehicle shopping space, a showroom. And whether you be Tesla or GMC or Ford or whoever, you can rent space in here. People can stop and compare the different vehicles and all. It's gonna be the first one of its type around this area. And this man who's doing this, he has vision, young guy, and it's very, very exciting also, something new for us. Well, now, they approved the zone use, so now he's gonna come in with his site plan and all, which that part should
Excellent.
go through, so it's very exciting. So we have a lot of good, and you'll see that big building there opposite Christmas Tree Shops. They're moving along, they're hoping to start to get some occupancy at the end of this year. So that's good. And that Lascana Homes that's building the affordable units on Smith Farm is out to bid for their project. They had their legal notices in, so that will be coming. And we all passed Firelight Shopping Center, that project there is under construction too. So there's a lot going on in town that's really exciting. And they're finally almost finished with the part of Route 1 that's been never ending. But on its heels, they're gonna wanna be starting the next section, which is from Lambert Road to Orange Center Road. So, yeah. So with that said, is there a motion to adjourn at 9:47?
So moved.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jimmy.